We got married at the Marina Bay Sands, Singapore. The cost of our wedding, just under 8.5 thousand US dollars. This includes a lunch reception for 50 people, our wedding rings, outfits, vendors, like our photographers and videographers. In this video, we're going to share with you how we did it. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Ying Ying, and Now Realize is a YouTube channel started out by my partner, Jingles, and I. On this channel, we share the realization about life and happiness as we pursue our goals. Today, we want to share with you our breakdown on our wedding costs. So I have this laptop in front of me to look at the numbers. We held our wedding mid of this year together with 48 of our families and friends. It is considered a pretty cozy affair in terms of Singapore standards, as a typical Singapore's Chinese wedding would have about 200 to 400 onwards guest numbers. We wanted to keep our wedding small, as we have explained this in our previous video. The cost of a wedding would really depend on you and your partner's expectation, and also your parents. Even though you think that it is just you and your partner's wedding, it's often more than that. Depending on how demanding and the expectations of various parties are, a wedding in Singapore could range anywhere from $42 to a six-figure kind of wedding. We are going to share with you a breakdown of our wedding costs and how we managed to keep our wedding costs low at an iconic location such as Marina Bay Sands. We tried our best to record all of our expenses for our wedding, including some of our transportation costs, such as the things that we pay for the Chinese customaries leading up to the wedding day. So hopefully we didn't miss anything out. I'm going to share with you the cost both in Singapore dollars as well as US dollars. The areas of our wedding expense would be venue, which includes the F&B reception and accommodation, vendors, that includes photographers, videographers, makeup and hair, as well as decor, solemnization costs such as the ROM fee, as well as our rings, outfits, angpaos, which are a token of our appreciation to our helpers, Chinese customary, and others. We initially started with a budget of $10,000. I know it's crazy. And halfway during our plans, we decided to up the budget a bit more, which is $15,000. Before I start breaking down the costs, wedding as a Chinese Singaporean typically includes the Chinese customary as well as a lavish banquet reception. For us, our wedding is slightly different in the sense that we did not go through the full Chinese customary, such as fetch the bride or gate crash in the morning. Instead, we only proceed with the Guodali, which is the Chinese betrothal ceremony. Additionally, we combine our holy matrimony at our lunch reception. First, let's talk about the venue. The venue includes the F&B lunch as well as the accommodation that I booked at the hotel. I used to be a wedding planner, so I roughly know where the bulk of the wedding costs would be and would go to. It is the number of guests you're inviting together with the venue costs and F&B costs, which is typically your hotel banquet reception. That element alone would determine how largely your wedding would cost. Most of the time, a banquet is held in a ballroom or function room, and I feel that it is the same across all the hotels. Food menu, layout, and what is included in the package are mostly similar across the hotels. For upscale hotels, 4 or 5 stars, we will probably look at around 150 Singapore dollars per person. That's around, I think, 110 US dollars per person. And the top tier 5-star hotels, we can easily look at $200 Singapore dollars per person. For Jingles and I, we really love buffets. So we started looking for great buffets within hotels. And we basically check across different hotels to see whether is it possible to hold our reception there. Not all hotels allow this, so we eventually only shortlisted either Marina Bay Sands, Rice Restaurant, or Colony at Ritz-Carlton. But because we weren't able to hold the solemnization at Ritz-Carlton, we choose Rice at Marina Bay Sands, because we were allowed to hold both the solemnization and the lunch reception at the same place. Rice at Marina Bay Sands is somewhat in an indoor location filled with natural light, so we choose a lunch reception to take advantage of the daylight instead of a dinner reception. Additionally, a lunch reception will cost less compared to a dinner reception. But at the end, due to COVID, the Rice restaurant had to drop their buffet service, so we had to went with a served lunch. We'll serve a 7-course lunch instead. We had the option to swap the dishes around here and there, so in the end our menu was a fusion of Singaporean dishes as well as Chinese dishes. We had dishes such as satay and soft shell crab. We were also impressed by their range of mocktail options, and it was quite pretty in terms of the way that they serve the drinks. And even though we prepared alcohol for our guests, most of them have the mocktails, so it's really different from the typical Fanta or Coke that is served in a banquet. The total cost for the lunch reception for 50 people were 3,954. This cost is a fraction compared to holding it at a banquet hall at MBS. So here's a tip. If you can hold your wedding at a hotel restaurant, it can be much more affordable option than a hotel banquet. You can get the same prestige, but more importantly, the quality of food and service that is of hotel standard. There are a couple of reasons why a banquet might cost more. A banquet typically includes alcohol, bridal room, invitation cards, and decor. Just for the aesthetic reasons, you might want to consider a restaurant that is already pretty and that you don't have to spend too much on decor to decorate the place or to transform the place for your wedding. I've also booked a hotel room to stay the night before for convenience sake. The room costs $469. Much reflection. Hey Google, why are we still wearing the mask? Next, for vendors, we have the categories of decor, makeup and hair, photographer and videographer. Since the venue is already quite pretty, I didn't do much for decoration. I DIY most of my floral decor since I'm also a florist. The cost came up to around $592. Next, for makeup and hair, my makeup and hair package was bought from a fellow bride who had postponed her wedding. I saw that the bride was letting go of her package via Budget Brides, which is a Facebook and Telegram group where brides will come together to help each other to plan their wedding and to share their experiences while planning their wedding. We also helped to pay for Jingle's mom makeup and hair. Photographer and videographer. We invested the most in our photographer and videographer because memories are really important to us, and I wanted a way for us to remember the day, especially documenting our grandparents who is attending our wedding, to share the day with our friends and families who weren't able to attend. The photographer that I chose was Thomas Tan, and he's a great photographer. I like his photography style. It's usually wide angle, and the photos usually tell a story behind it. On top of that, he is like a ninja. There were so many photos that he was able to take concurrently at different angles that I was so impressed, because during a wedding, things happen so quickly in the moment, and not all photographers have that sixth sense to capture fleeting moments like that. So you can check out Tinkity on Instagram. For our videographer, we had Iki Company who helped us to document our day. We got her to include some of our childhood photos together with our friends into the final edit, and it looks amazing. I mean, who won't say it doesn't look amazing, right? Yeah. And next, for solemnisation, the fee to pay the ROM was $42, and for rings, we made it ourselves. We actually went shopping through the Orchard Ion jewelry area and we tried out some rings, but we didn't find anything that we like. So we decided to create and DIY our rings with fat and veil. So I just roll around 11, right, for him?
Yeah.
Okay.
So once I take out, right?
Oh! Oh!
This is the sound different part.
Oh no, you broke the...
push too hard.
Oh no, you break it. It was a fun day because we had a private workshop where they will guide us on how to craft our rings. The rings cost us $1,478, which includes the cost of the materials as well as the workshop. This is actually a very, very simple ring. but it's full of memories and full of imperfections because we are not perfect in trying to make the rings. Yeah, I really like it that it is so DIY. Next, for outfits, we spent about $820 on our outfits, together with Jingles that suit. I got my outfit from ASOS, while Jingles got his jacket from Benjamin Barker's outlet at IMM. Next, for ang paos, it came up to about $650 as a token of appreciation for our helpers and solemnizer. Next, Chinese customary. We skipped on a couple of the Chinese traditional stuff and only went with the guo dali. We had a simple lunch with both parents, including my grandparents. So we paid for the lunch, and we also paid for the cakes that were gifted out to our relatives. As well as the card, we got the pastry or cakes from Tong Hing, and you can get their bundle that is designed specifically for wedding and for guo dali. But we went ahead to just order the normal packs and choosing what we like for our relatives. Only my grandmother got the really traditional one from Dai Mon Chan. And last but not least, I have this other section because due to COVID, we had to do a COVID test prior to our wedding the day before, so that came up to $86. All in all, we spent about 11,000 Singapore dollars, which amounts to about 8.5 thousand US dollars. So tips and tricks to save money. I think overall, the wedding reception, your F&B and your venue costs would actually cost the most. So using the Pareto principle, as long as you choose a venue that is really affordable, generally your wedding would not cost too much. Next, rings. If you want a fancy one, or you could even go without one. Next tip would be probably to join the wedding groups. So in Singapore, we do have budget brides, and you can look for them on Facebook as well as Telegram. There you will get lots of tips, tricks, and advice from brides who are planning their wedding or have already completed their wedding. And because our wedding was during a period of many COVID regulations, we were able to get timely updates from the various brides who will just share what are the new rules, and we were able to adapt to it quickly. And then of course, for decorations, you can get it from Taobao. For clothes, you can get it from ASOS. They have actually quite a good range of wedding clothes if you are not particular. Another one would be from Lulu's, just that I prefer ASOS because you are able to return the clothes if it doesn't fit. Another way is to go down to Benjamin Barker outlet. I think Benjamin Barker designs are really not bad, quite nice. You can buy off rack and alter it to your size for your wedding day. And last but not least is to plan early. The earlier you plan, you can know what's the market rate out there and be able to familiarize with the different costs as well as how people charge their services. So I guess these are my tips. But if you do have any questions, do let me know. You can comment or send me an email. And yeah, that's it.